Hi, and welcome to IS-285 Routers and Switches 1. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to our course here in Canvas and go through how the course is laid out and just give you some basics there so you understand how to navigate a little bit throughout the course. And then in the last half of the video, I'll take a few minutes to introduce you to our courses in the Cisco Academy, which is where you'll be accessing a lot of your learning materials and things. So starting off here in Canvas, you'll notice first off that I am on the home page of our course. You notice that that starts out with a course description. In this section here, you'll see there is a link for faculty and course information. You can click on that link to gain access to my contact information and my office hours. Below that, you'll see a listing of program outcomes and course objectives. Next, you'll see a list of course materials. These are your textbooks and other items that you'll be using throughout this course. You also see the grading policy. Next, you see a link to a printable PDF version of the syllabus. You'll want to make sure you take a look at that, and probably best to even print that out. And then at the bottom of this page, you just see a quick, very brief course outline. Looking at the next section in our course, the syllabus section, this essentially just has a list of your assignments and due dates for the entire term. So you'll see, again here that everything from week 1 to week 8. You'll notice that each of these items is a clickable link, so you can actually navigate to these items by clicking here. And that's one thing you'll notice as we go and move throughout the course here. You'll see that there's multiple ways to get to things, and this is one way of getting to these items here. So and again, you'll see that there are other ways to get to these items as well. In the next section, this is very, very, very important. This is the announcement section. You want to make sure that you check on this section at least a couple of times a week. You should have your Canvas account configured so that you're getting copies of these to your email. That's what I strongly suggest. But keep in mind, however you do it, you are essentially held accountable for any of the information that's posted here for you. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of any announcements that are posted. You notice that to start the course, there are already several announcements here. There's information on the late policy. You want to make sure that you read over that so that you understand what you can and can't do as far as turning in late assignments. Here, the next one is an announcement where I've provided some information on how to use Packet Tracer. I would guess that most of you are probably new to Packet Tracer, but that is one of the lab environments that will work in, and essentially it's just software, but you'll be using that software to complete some of your assignments. This next announcement is about logging into NetLab for the first time. NetLab is another lab environment that you'll be using in this course, and so you want to make sure that you take a look at both of these announcements here. The first one, again, is about logging into NetLab for the first time. The second announcement is about using NetLab. And you'll see in this announcement there are links to videos. And in those videos, I show you everything you need to know about using NetLab and getting your device configurations in order to upload those into Canvas. Next here, you see there's an announcement about the Cisco Networking Academy. You'll want to take a look at that. And then a couple of things. The last two announcements are just related to myself and the course. So again, you'll want to make sure you read over all of these at the beginning of week 1. Okay, this next section in our course in Canvas, the modules section, this is where you can actually get into I guess you could say kind of the meat of the course. you'll see this first section, the Read Me First section. This has a lot of introductory stuff, some of which we've already looked at, like course materials and stuff. But then below that, you'll see that the next thing there is Unit 1, and this is our unit for Week 1. And essentially what you'll want to do is at the beginning of each week, you'll want to come here to the course and click on the Unit 1, or the unit introduction rather, and you'll just want to step through the slides that are here. So you'll notice here for Unit 1 there's an introduction slide. If you click next, you'll see information about the required resources for this unit, some of the key terms and concepts. Then going on to the next slide, you'll see that there are some presentations and lectures here that can be very useful to you. What I suggest, the majority of your learning materials are going to be on the Cisco Academy site. I suggest that you use the presentations and lectures here in Canvas in order to help you if you feel that you need additional information. If you go through the required materials on the Cisco Academy and there's something that you're just not understanding completely, you can come here and find one of the videos that touches on that topic maybe, and learn a little bit more about it, and hopefully these presentations will help you with that. Ideally, you would go through and watch all of these presentations each week, but I know the reality of the situation that a lot of times, time just doesn't allow. So just keep in mind these are here. If you have questions about anything, any of the topics within the course, chances are you'll find some additional information here in the presentations and lectures. Okay, so then if we move on to the next slide here in Unit 1, this just gives you a list of supplemental resources that you can use for additional information if you find a need for it. And then now if we click next again, you'll see instructions for the Unit 1 discussion, this is where you can come into one way you can access to complete your discussions. Notice that by going to this slide, this has moved us to the discussion section of the course. So we could have also gotten here by just clicking on discussions. So clicking next and moving on to the next slide, here you'll see information about the first assignment in Unit 1. You'll see a button up here that will give you the ability to submit the assignment. Clicking next, you'll see this is information about the second assignment for Unit 1, and then the third assignment for Unit 1. And clicking next, you'll see now we've moved on to Unit 2, which would be our topics for Week 2. So that's how you can use the modules section. Clicking on the discussion section, again, we already looked at the Unit 1 discussion, but here you can come to this part of the course and actually easily navigate to any of the discussions from Unit 1 through Unit 8. You saw how going through the modules you had access to the assignments there. Well, you can also click assignments here to gain access to those, and then just click on the individual assignment that you're looking for. Just a couple more things I'll hit on real quick here in Canvas. People, if you click there, that'll give you a list of all the students in the class. You'll also notice that your instructor is there as well. And if you click on someone's name here in the course, you can see information about that person's if they've based on whatever information they have provided. The last thing I want to hit on here is grades. If you click on grades, this is what you'll see. You'll see a list of all of your assignments, and you'll notice that one column shows you the due dates. The next column beside that shows you your score, and then the last column is the total number of points that are available for that assignment. Keep in mind that this list here is not completely up to date. This is still a work in progress, as there are a few assignments that are missing here, but those will be in place by the time you're looking at the course. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the course layout in Canvas. That should give you enough information there to get started. So next I'm going to move on to the Cisco Academy. As far as the Cisco Academy goes, you'll remember one of the announcements in the announcements section of our course in Canvas mentioned the Networking Academy and getting logged in. Essentially, you should receive an email with information on how to register and join the class and everything. So once you get logged into the Networking Academy, what you should see are these two courses here. You should see IS 285 2019 Spring Term A, and one of the courses that we're accessing in the Cisco Academy is the Routing and Switching Essentials, and the other is Introduction to Networks. Introduction to Networks is actually the course we'll be starting in, and once we've finished with it, we'll move on to Routing and Switching Essentials. So in the Cisco Academy, again, once you log in, you'll see the courses that you are in, which are these two courses. Your view may look just a little bit different from mine. Obviously, mine say courses I'm teaching. Yours will say something different there. But essentially, the courses will look identical. And what you do is, when you're working on a unit assignment, is you just need to decide which Academy course it is you need to go into. Again, we'll be starting with Introduction to Networks. And you'll notice when you hover over it, you'll see this link pop up to launch the course. So you can just click on that in order to launch the course. Okay, once you do that, this will bring you to the course in the Cisco Academy. While we're at the main menu here, I'll mention a couple of things. We don't use everything here, but you will need to gain access to quizzes, so you'll use that. But for your learning materials, primarily what you'll use here is available once you click on Launch the Course. We won't be using the discussions. You won't have grades posted here in the Cisco Academy. All of that sort of stuff is in Canvas. But in order to access your learning materials for each chapter in the textbook, you'll come into the appropriate course and you'll click on Launch Course. Once you get to this screen, you can just click anywhere and it'll take you to a list of all the chapters. Chapter 0 is just a quick course introduction, and then the other chapters essentially equate to the chapters in your textbook. So Chapter 1 is on exploring the network, Chapter 2 is on configuring a network operating system, 3 is on network protocols and communications, and so on. And so essentially this equates to your reading assignments. So whatever chapters we're covering on any given week, you'll want to not only look at those chapters in your textbook, but also come here to make sure you go through the learning materials here. And this is also where you will access your lab assignments for the course. So if we click on a chapter, and I'm just going to click on Chapter 7 here, IP addressing, you'll notice that when you click on a chapter, it essentially opens up all of the sections in that chapter. So we have an introduction section and IP, version 4 network addresses, and so on. So there's essentially 5 different sections here in this chapter. You can start at the beginning, and if you click on the first section, everything within there will open up. And so if you click there, you will see what's inside that subsection, and you can just click on the very first one, and that will get you to the very first slide, and then you can navigate through the rest of the slides by using these directional buttons at the bottom. So what you'll want to do for any assigned chapter is come in and read through these slides. Some of the slides just involve a little bit of reading. Some of them are interactive, but you'll want to make sure that you go through the slides for any chapter that has been assigned. So stepping through this, again, you'll see there is some information here about IP version 4. So when we're covering that topic, you'll be learning about binary and network addresses, as you see here. But as we keep navigating through this, again, you'll see different types of things on each slide. This one has a video. This, just has some information about the topic here. Notice that this is kind of interactive, where when you click on the different things, the information on the slide changes. So again, as you navigate through, you'll want to take advantage of any learning activities. Here you'll see this is kind of an interactive slide. Another interactive slide here on converting decimal to binary. And as we keep going through, I want to move to a slide that actually has a lab assignment on it, so you can see what that looks like. All of these that we're seeing here so far are more informational. This has a lab. Notice that the lab itself is actually an active link. This is just a lab using the Windows calculator and calculating network addresses. The majority of your labs, all of the labs that you submit for the class, are going to involve configuring routers and switches. So I want to move on to find one of those types of labs here. Okay, here's a lab. Notice that this is a packet tracer lab. I don't know right off the top of my head. I don't believe this is one that is assigned in the course, but this is a good example of an assignment that the type of assignment that you're going to be working on. So this is a packet tracer activity. So you'll notice first off you have a link here that gives you the instructions for the activity. But those instructions are also included in the activity itself. So you don't have to open up those instructions separately. You can just open up the activity. So notice that this is a PKA file, so it's a packet tracer activity file. And if you click on that, what that's going to do is that's going to download the packet tracer activity file. You'll want to open that up. Notice that my computer by default does not know how to open up this file type. That means that I don't have Packet Tracer installed, and and the reason I don't is because I just re-imaged this computer. But so I'm just going to cancel this, and we'll come back to this in a second. In order to leave the course materials, you just click the X in the top right. Notice we're back in the slide view, and we have the ability to navigate to some different things down here at the bottom. I'm going to click on Return to Class. Okay, so that brings me back out to where we first started when I clicked on the course itself in the Cisco Academy. I'm going to go back out to my Netacad. So since I don't have Packet Tracer installed on this computer, which I'm guessing will be the case for pretty much all of you, what you will want to do is download that software from the Cisco Academy. So if you go to resources, again, what you see here for me is a little bit different than what you're going to see. Down at the bottom you'll see student resources, but somewhere here you should also see Packet Tracer resources. And if not, you can just click the search icon here and find it that way. But under resources, I'm going to click on Packet Tracer resources. As I scroll down a little bit, you'll notice that there are different versions of Packet Tracer here available for download. You always want to get the latest one. If your system is 64-bit, you'll get the 64-bit version. If your system is 32-bit, which unless it's older, it's probably not. So for my computer, I'm going to download 721 for 64-bit. Once that download completes, go ahead and open that up. And it popped up on my other monitor, but what you'll see here is essentially an executable file that you can run to install Packet Tracer. So I'm going to go ahead and double click this and choose Extract All. And now that it's extracted, I'll go ahead and run that executable to install Packet Tracer. Installing Packet Tracer is straightforward. It's just like installing any other software. Accept the agreement. Next, next, next. You can change any of the defaults if you want to, but you don't have to. You can leave them all as they are. And it'll start the process of installing Packet Tracer. Okay, so now while that's going on, let that continue. I'm going to go back to the Networking Academy. If I click on My NetAcad, that'll take me back to the courses. And so I'm going to go back into, actually this time I'll go into Routing and Switching Essentials. I'm going to go ahead and launch that course. Again, we won't get into this textbook until a little later in the course, but I'm going to go ahead and click on Launch Course and go into the course materials for this textbook. Okay, so notice that it's saying here that for Packet Tracer skills-based assessments to use this version, and in order to do so I have to restart, but that's not important for right now, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Finish. I'll let it go ahead and launch Packet Tracer. Notice the first time that I do so, it knows that it's the first time, and so it's letting me know where it's going to save my files by default. So just make note of that. Click OK. Okay, and the first time you go into Packet Tracer, it's going to make you type in your email, your login information. Essentially, it's going to make you log in. The reason for that is because Packet Tracer is only available to Cisco Academy students, so they make you verify that you are an Academy student before you can download, or well, before you can run the software rather. So I'm just logging in real quick so that it'll give me access to Packet Tracer. You'll want to make sure that you open up your firewall for Packet Tracer. You can just go with the default here and click Allow Access. Okay, and this is what Packet Tracer looks like. Essentially, there's nothing here as far as lab equipment or anything. I'm not going to get in any details on how to work with the routers and switches here. You'll find videos on that in the announcement section. But what I am going to show you real quick is that anytime that you do something in Packet Tracer, you should always save your work, so that either you can come back to it later and complete the lab, or so that you can save your file to submit. So saving any Packet Tracer activity is fairly simple. You just go up to File and choose Save As, and navigate to where you want to save it, name it, and then that way, like I say, you can come back and complete the activity if there's more to do, or this will save your file that you can upload to Canvas. Okay, so back to the Cisco Networking Academy. This is just the other textbook. I'm going to click on Chapter 3 here. Notice that Chapter 3 has 5 primary sections. If I click on the first section and keep going till I get to the first slide, notice this looks exactly like the other textbook slides that we were looking at. It just covers different topics. So as we're navigating through, again, this is just learning materials for you on this topic. But as you navigate through the slides, you will eventually run into some type of lab, like this one here is a packet tracer lab. Going back to Canvas, if you look at your assignments, and so let's look at Unit 1. Okay, in this assignment it tells you first off which textbook we're in, so it's Introduction to Networks. So this is routing and switching essentials here, so we would want to get out of this, go back to the Introduction to Networks course, launch those materials. Okay, and going back to Canvas, tells us that the lab environment for this activity is Packet Tracer, so we know we're going to be using Packet Tracer. And the assignment is on slide 2146. So to get to that, we would go to Chapter 2, and we know that because the slide number, the first number in the slide is 2. So 2146 is what we're looking for. So 2, 1, 4, 6. Notice this is the slide here. So this is the slide where that packet tracer activity for the first assignment is located. Okay, so it's pretty simple to navigate, to those activities by using the slide number. Back in Canvas, if we go back to the list of assignments, if we click on the Unit 1 Assignment 2, notice that this one is in the same textbook, Introduction to Networks, Chapter 2. However, this time instead of Packet Tracer, we're working in NetLab. Okay, so be sure you check out the videos that I provided for you, links for you to in the announcements section of the course. But you'll be completing this lab in NetLab, not Packet Tracer. The lab itself is located on slide 2333. So we go to the Introduction to Networks course, and we go to slide 2333, and here's that lab. So you would click on the link to open up the lab. These are the lab instructions that you would use to complete the lab, and again you would complete all of this in NetLab. Okay, so as far as what you need to know about the Cisco Academy, that's pretty much it. Again, you will be assigned the chapter exams, so you'll want to make sure that you use the quizzes link here to access those. But other than that, that's about all you need to know for the Cisco Academy. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. I know it's quite a bit. You might want to go back and watch and listen to this video again, but this should be all the basic information that you need to get going in the course.